All right, friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Welcome back again to our Aserai Peasant Revolt. We continue on with this campaign here where we are causing chaos and rampaging through the southern desert lands of Calradia with our bandit army, right? With our looters, mounted pillagers. We have some militia that's joined us, a handful of minor clan units, and we continue to envelop the Aserai territory. Now, we had a bloody fight here to take Quyaz, and in the last episode, we fought a Southern Empire force, multiple Southern Empire forces that also resulted in the loss of the head of the Southern Empress. That's right, Ragea was executed, right? We're sticking with this theme of the revolution, much like the French Revolution or any other revolution. There will be blood, right? There will be executions, and Ragea had to go, right? She sort of represents Louis XVI or Marie Antoinette in this campaign. Now I'm going to head to Quyaz here, but we are very banged up, and I can't really afford to leave troops here for the garrison because Ain Balik Castle is also under siege. So I think it actually makes sense, believe it or not, to let this Southern Empire force just set up shop here and siege the city, head down and deal with whatever's at Ain Balik while we heal. Our band of thugs and shit, we can heal on the march here. I've got to fix our herding. Let's see, we got to dump some horses. I've got to sell some equipment, and we are getting to the stage where I'm just going to start dumping goods on the ground here. But I think it makes sense for us to head south and deal with whatever threat is there, and then come back and dispatch this Southern Empire force. Money is no object. Of course, almost anybody will tell you in the later stages of a campaign, and this at this stage qualifies, where you start tactically routing your foes left and right. You just have so much equipment, so much loot. I really will probably start just turning down equipment, and we'll get some EXP for our troops. Although that said, we're not really gaining levels with our troops, right? We have these looters and pillagers. They don't gain levels, right? Looters can't upgrade and stuff like that. So there's actually not enormous benefits here to picking up these looter bands. It is free troops, right? We are benefiting from the fact that there are these huge groups of looters on the map, but unfortunately we have a bunch of units that are not replaceable, or at least not readily replaceable. All these bandit bosses, the boar champions, the Beni Zilao Royal Guard, these guys, oh shit, these guys are units that we can't just go to the market and buy in gross, like at a Costco or something like that. Fuck. So that now there's two different Southern Empire forces, and this one is much, much stronger than the other one. So I'm going to just go around this guy here, right? Our army is banged up. We need some R&R here. I also want to get down and attack and destroy whatever's already on Ain Balik Castle down here. So I think it makes sense. We'll just go around both of these armies. We'll basically ignore them for the time being. Let them set up shop. Even though there's only militia at Quyaz, they should still hold out for 2, 3, 4 days. And we can come back a little bit rested. This motherfucker's chasing us. Hopefully we can come back rested, do a little bit of pillage and ready to dispatch all these Southern Empire fucks. We're faster than him, so I guess it's fine if he wants to chase us. Okay, there he goes. He's breaking off. He's going to head to Quyaz, and we can head down to Ain Balik. I've mentioned that over and over again in a campaign, but just another 10 seconds. It's imperative that you're faster than your enemy, right? In Bannerlord, it doesn't mean like an army of 100, but armies that are bigger than you must be slower than you, otherwise you're dead.
If you please.
All right, destroy this little singular Aserai army besieging here. I mean, she's got some good-looking troops, but we'll just auto-resolve this and accept whatever losses there are. So we are getting free looters, right? We're getting free mounted pillagers and other tier 2 units and stuff that we're stuffing into garrisons. But there's an extreme dearth of minor clans. I really did think a lot of our enemy armies here that we're destroying would have more prisoners and more troops that were, Jawal and forest bandits and whatnot that we could recruit. Alas, that has not been the case. So Ain Balik is protected now. I really do want some bandits. What I'd like to find is their There are looter bands, of course, roaming the map, but there are also things like Sea Raiders and Desert Bandits, and those do have some minor clans, but they're very rare, and I've only encountered a couple in the Aserai territory. Before I actually started filming this campaign, we seized about 150 forest bandits from a large forest bandit army. These effects are all coming from the Dangerous Bandit mod. That makes, instead of looters, all of a sudden there's very large armies of Sea Raiders, for example. And a long time ago also, we probably got 80 or 100 Sea Raiders that have been slowly upgrading as well. But it's been a long time. Oh, shit. The Southern Empire is just pouring in here. Of course, we're the only one they're at war with, so predictably, the whole fucking realm is attacking us, it looks like here. 200 units still defending, but we're going to be able to get inside Quyaz here and defend. Yeah, so unfortunately, we just haven't been able to upgrade our army, and we are slowly suffering the effects of war of attrition. While we're getting free looters and pillagers, we're losing Lake Rat Wreckers and whatnot slowly over the course of time. So we can't fight them out in the open. We must break into Quyaz. Quyaz is a defendable city, but there's a fucking hole in the wall. Of course, we put the hole there, but this might be a bitch. There's literally going to be... two different accesses here, right? The main gate and this hole in the wall. In fact, this might be a situation where I desperately try to destroy their ram. Another absolutely picturesque scene. I mean, I just want to go out there and tell them, hey, fellas, why don't we have a picnic instead of fighting, and we'll enjoy the sunset, and then tomorrow, when it's partly cloudy and doesn't look this beautiful, then we can fight. What do you think, right? We'll grab a nice beer or a glass of wine, whatever you prefer, and just enjoy the daylight. What do you think, fellas? No? You want to siege right now? Okay. Come get it then, bitches. So I'm going to form two different squares here. We're going to have one at the gate, and I want our squares to be relatively weak. That is because all I want them to do, these little militia and bandits and mounted pillagers and shit, is hold up their shield and their little pokey stick, their spear, while our javelin units pound the enemy, right? We have a bunch of archers. A lot of them are militia, granted, and a lot of them are mounted ransackers, or what are they, mounted pillagers. So that's tier 2 archer. It's really weak. But if you got 200 of them, you know, they'll pepper the enemy full of arrows. And then we have a bunch of javelin throwers, right? We have brigands. We have Beni Zalal, our very good javelin throwing units. And they have a lot of them too, right? So we're continuing to use the strengths of this army, which at the moment is javelins, right? That's the main advantage we have on the enemy here. I would not say we have an advantage anywhere else, even archers, right? They're going to have better archers and probably more of them. It looks like we have 330 archers. So we have a good amount of archers here, but I think a lot of that is militia, right? We're in the city, and so we're getting a bunch of militia mixed into our units here. Again, they just allow us to sneak in with 700 troops. This would not be a thing. Imagine if that happened at any of the famous sieges in world history. You know, an army of 12,000 just goes through the postern door. Oh, the enemies, go ahead. You know, they would just never let that happen. But here we are. All right, so I've got two different Jav divisions, and I'm going to put this larger division down by the gate and the smaller one up by the hole here. We will expel the 3rd Division's javelins, right? Just have those guys throw every javelin, and then we will move them into the square and bring the other javelin division up. Now, if they come through heavy at the main gate, we're going to try to use this 4th Division, and it's kind of crowded in here. Maybe one other division of units. The 2nd, 4th, the 8th can be back kind of in a big long line. The 6th is here as well to help. It's really congested. This is another example of one of the cities where if you were the city manager, if this was Stronghold 2 and you were building the castle to spec, a lot of these fucking buildings wouldn't be there, right? They would be replaced with ramparts and gently sloping hills angling down to the doors. But alas, right, this is the blueprint. This is the landscape that we have to use, and so we're going to do our best. 7th Archers over here will be able to pepper the enemy coming over that little ridge where there's a hole in the wall. That's going to be good crossfire, and I think we're set here. I do want fire catapults right where there's a big hole in the wall. Of course, the enemy's going to storm that hole in the wall, right? So we're going to make sure we have a bunch of these Greek fire grenades to lob down there on them. And I think that's probably going to work here. We've got a lot of catapults, actually. Now, I didn't set these up. Evidently, the people in this siege did so. Get a little caffeine here, and I think we're ready to rip.
Shoulder troops! Forward!
That's the other key, right? I have been on a caffeine cleanse for quite a while. My wife and I do a health cleanse, but I am at least momentarily on some caffeine. We're taking a little break. It's good to reset a lot of your different drug addictions or whatever you want to call them, bodily functions. For you fellas that are drinking like 3 energy drinks a day and stuff like that, every once in a while, try not to. In other words, try to drink like a quarter or a fifth of your normal, because what you really need to do is give your adrenal system a rest. Especially speaking as an older fella to you young guys, I figure it's kind of incumbent upon me as somebody who studies my own health and reads a lot about the health. We have a lot to do with that, right? You young guys, of course, you guys are mostly immortal. Most of you guys, you know, you could just eat donuts and fucking McDonald's and drink a 40 every day before going to work and function pretty high. As you get older, those effects will be more pronounced, and you will want to take more and more care of your health. I mean, optimally start when you're younger. Right? That way your body, as you get older, is already in really good shape. It really is your choices to make. So I'm going to try to dial in this ram here and blow this thing up. We've got a couple other catapults that are pounding it. So we've got a good shot here, right? It's down to 2 of those little, 1 of those little protective covers. So come on, baby. There we go. Okay, we just destroyed it. Oh, shit. It seems like every single guy is rushing over here. It's like every troop is pouring through this hole in the ground, or in the hole in the wall, which is good, right? That means we can get to this, get to these little flaming Greek fire things and cause an enormous amount of death. In fact, it actually looks like they're ignoring the ladders over there, which is curious. Every enemy force is trying to come through one hole. I don't know if that's a bug or intentional, but that's not going to go well for them, right? We unleash our javelin guys. I forgot to mention, usually I keep those guys on hold fire until there's lots of enemy troops for them to throw at. That way they're throwing javelins into a packed ranks of enemy troops, just like these fireballs. I mean, it's just an incredible amount of death. This is where you gain EXP in this game. I mean, if you're like level 20 and you're doing this, you gain like, I had a siege where we gained, I think 6 or 7 levels in one siege, just by chucking these flaming basketballs. Just, you know, we scored 32 points on 12 of 12 shooting from the field, and then we gained 6 levels, and the next thing you know, we were dunking. I digress. All right, so you see the javelins are working here, and I'm adding to the mix. Right now, we have tons of javelins. There's a perk. If you're not familiar with it, I get this question a lot. How the fuck do you have so many javelins? Of course, normally you get 5 per stack. I have 2 stacks. You can see them sticking out of my little fur coat there, my little fur cloak. And you can have 3 with 7 each, so minimum of 21. And then with perks, especially a siege perk, it'll get upwards of 50 in siege defense. In fact, I recall having 60. So you can have an incredible amount of javelins, and of course you can pick up more, right? If you have a lot of javelins like we do in the army here, you can pick them off the ground. And I've probably had defenses like this where I threw 150 javelins, you know, just doing my lunges to pick up javelins the whole battle. Now it's worth it for me to run over here and grab this fireball, because this is the ultimate javelin, right? As long as I can get up these stairs here, we're going to be able to kill 30 guys, every single one of these flaming basketballs we throw. And even though it takes a minute to do that, almost no risk to me. The enemy's packed, a bunch of insolent fucks. We kill a lord, a bunch of elite troops melt, and that's a lot more effective than throwing javelins. And of course, you'll run out of javelins. So, like I said before, oh shit, I just got shot for like 1/3 of my health. I don't know who did that to me. That was a massive amount of damage, but I got to remember that Hugh the Hammer here is kind of lightly armored. The bear cloak looks cool, but man, it's pretty weak. All right, so I got to get these guys firing, and I got to get these guys spread out a little bit. This is our 2nd division. Again, I had these guys near the gate, ready to go in case the enemy poured through the gate. Not in case, but when they poured through the gate. But we were able to destroy the ram, and so this siege becomes much easier, right? They're getting enfilade fire from the archers to my right. Javelins are raining from my left. There's a division behind us here shooting anything that gets around the back edge of the square, and then I'm in here with my 120 12-speed hammer or whatever it is, just destroying everything in sight. You see these guys have a beautiful angle to just fire away. In fact, let's back these guys up. What you don't want is you don't want your archers close enough to draw aggro, right? Units in Bannerlord, oh shit, they're already regrouping. Units in Bannerlord will aggro. They might be routing. Oh, that is amazing. I mean, those are like Imperial Elite Cataphracts and they're routing. I don't think I've ever seen that. They routed so fast here. I think it's because for some reason the AI did not use the ladders on the far side of the keep here. No matter the case here, right, we will take it, right? This campaign is going to be hard enough. Looks like we killed 850. I mean, they were scoring some kills, but obviously we had like an 8-to-1 kill ratio going, and the enemy just said peace out. So I think there'll be some forces that are outside the keep here that we're going to try to run down. We'll take all these troops, right? This is beautiful. They attacked one of those looter bands. We'll take them all. We can stick them in the garrison, pick up a few prisoners here. Again, though, I want some Boer champions or something. It's amazing how few... I don't know why this is happening. There's no minor clan units in here. Here, there's one. A Karakurgat Elder. We get one. I mean, come on. This is already hard enough, and it seems like the game is conspiring here against us. All right, enough bitching. Every once in a while, you got to fucking vent a little bit. I won't be a whiny little bitch here. In fact, I'm happy to have a little bit of caffeine today. All right, so there are a bunch of armies here. We're gonna chase these bitches down here. We've got Talia Willowbark with her fast cavalry speed here, and we're gonna try to catch these units before they get away. Come get them. They're kind of jockeying back and forth. Some of them are standing around like a duck. I've seen this before. Look at what we got going on here. All right, we ran down about half of them. She's after those, but she's going to get killed, so we're going to have to help her. But I think we need to fight this out, too. Look at the power bar. I think if I auto-resolve this, we'll lose like 300 units, and we can't afford to lose 300 units, so... Another sip of caffeine here for success, and in we go. I do recognize that for some guys, these smaller battles aren't as exciting. If there are truly small battles, we will auto-resolve, or I may even come in afterwards and just edit this shit out, right? So, hey self, talking to myself again here. We do this from time to time where, you know, I'm narrating and later on I just come delete this whole shit and all of this breath that I've wasted just goes into the abyss. But nevertheless, we'll try to make some rational tactics here. We'll try to make some smart cognitive decisions here so that we minimize casualties. Of course, the whole channel, right? Tactical Enlightenment. We're always going to be doing tactics. You're almost never going to just see me F1, F3 unless I'm like rushing to a location or something like that. There are times where F1, F3 is appropriate, right? If you've got the enemy surrounded by a really nasty flanking operation or something like that, then it is absolutely appropriate. But most of the time, you're better off doing actual tactics, right? And of course, if you're watching the channel, you probably enjoy tactics. And the enemy, they're almost doing like a peekaboo ridge here. They're in a thin line right at the edge of that ridge. It's actually optimal. They're shooting me in the neck with flaming arrows, motherfuckers. So we may do a little bit of draw and quartering here after this battle. These insolent enemy fucks. They siege us and then they run. We're going to start to surround troops here. I'm going to send our cavalry way off to the side because we'll bring them in on the enemy's flank when we're bringing the rest of our units up. I like to get these weak cavalry, all these little weak cavalry archers. Those guys are just scorched. They're scorched. Holy shit, speaking of scorched, I just got hit in the head for 102. I don't know how that happens. Maybe that's a lord. Or maybe that's just, you know, a sergeant crossbow with a perfect shot. Either way, I'm almost dead. I was mentioning it before. I got to be really careful. I mean, I'm trying to be careful, but sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. If some guy fucking hits you right between the eyes, you're just going to get dropped. Fortunately, I've been able to stay on my feet for most of the battles, right, in this campaign. As I've talked to you guys about extensively, if you get knocked off your horse in a battle like this, it's certainly going to go worse than you being on your horse because your units get mixed, etc. All right, let's start to bring in flanks here. We've got forces on the enemy flank, and we can start to drive cavalry through their ranks, right? You always want to be careful driving through heavy pike or a bunch of militia holding out their little pitchforks. But I want to get to their archers with this cavalry, right? They're going to be losses anyways. We got a little Star Wars firefight happening here as our archers get into range. One thing I can do is I can put our horse archers directly behind them, right? That way they're being cross-fired, especially with no friendly fire. It's always nice to get your units directly behind them. Of course, they'll get shot off their horses and attacked by enemy cavalry. We're going to suffer losses, but it should be much lower than an auto-resolve. Now we've got infantry up here, the 3rd and 6th Division. The 3rd Division is pure peasant, so I'm actually going to pull them back, right? We don't need to just execute all our peasants here. We need them for the garrison. And now we'll sweep in with cavalry here, right? To have these guys follow me, and they'll basically drive right through the enemy ranks, causing carnage, knocking the units all over. Let's kite with this archer division and back these guys up a little bit. And let's get down on the ground here. Can't really see because of the darkness. Hopefully there's just enough light for you guys to see, and yet it still feels like a nighttime battle. And in we go. It's a lot of infantry, but we've got them in a pretty bad way, right? The arrows are hitting them from 3 different sides. There's cavalry rampaging. Now we can charge them with 3 infantry divisions here, and this battle should be pretty quick, despite the fact that they've got Legionary. Come get some, you bitch. Split your skull. All right, we're going to pound our way through here. We will resume some of the discussion about the French Revolution. It'll be kind of like when my brain thinks about it, right? Some of the parallels to this campaign. I will talk more about the sort of preconditions. We're setting the stage for the French Revolution. I don't know how long this campaign's going to be, whether it's going to be 15 episodes or 37 episodes. Partly it'll depend on how interested you guys are. I'm going to do some historical rambling. And we will talk about it kind of here and there as this group of peasants. It really is now a group of peasants chases the enemy down here. Very minimal casualties. There's no way we would have had that few casualties had we auto-resolved. It might have been 10 times that many. So again, no minor clans. I'm actually getting angry, although we did upgrade a few freebooters. Fortunately, a few of our garrisons have some minor clans. In fact, a few have like 200 minor clans. Lake Pike, Lake Rat, what are they called? The Lake Pike something or other. Those guys. Now, see, there's... Yeah, why did he go in the city? And why... Okay, so... She's getting mauled. I've got one unit just standing there again. Olbos is holding. Well, hold on there, Olbos. I think they get bugged out or something, or they're waiting for more troops to come. You know, they're at a gathering point, but it's not an army. It's not making an army. It's just a unit sitting there. As we save her neck again, right? We save Talia Willowbark here. Gather up a few prisoners at least. And we got to get some of these looters spread across our army. But it's really strange. I've had this happen. I've loaded probably 5 or 6 mods in the last couple months, so it might just be an artifact from a mod. But I have these units where it just it looks like they're loitering. It says holding. Now sometimes they kind of get jolted into motion, and when you get near them, they run. But a lot of times it just says holding, and they don't move. They don't ever move. So the AI is bugged out. We'll probably just kill these units here. Of course, she may just run away. It's a ghetto force, so maybe it doesn't matter. We'll just take them prisoner here. Easiest way to deal with this. And Ayakis is under siege, right? So it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. The enemy here is making a pretty concerted effort to counterpunch here. We are expanding, right? You guys can sort of feel the ebb and flow of the tide here, and every time the tide comes in, so to speak, if our force is advancing as the tide, the water's coming up higher, right? We're advancing, we're gaining more cities. I think we started this with 2 cities and 3 castles, and now we have like 5 cities and like 5 castles. So we are slowly eating the Southern Empire alive. I'm going to dump a garrison here and race down to Ayakis. I think that makes the most sense. I can't lose these major cities. Now, Ayakis has a huge garrison in it, but it's ghetto. It's like tons of bandit fucking, not bandits, even mounted pillagers and other looters and shit like that. As you can see, these armies, right? Mounted pillagers, We still have some Aserai units sneaking in here, and I'll dump these when I can. Yeah, these mounted pillagers, tier 2. It's pretty ugly. Now, I'm going to leave a little bit of a garrison here because we're going to be gone for a while, right? Obviously, we're going to almost the other side of the map, so we will dump a bunch of these troops. And this is an advantage for us, right? Because when I dump looters and mounted ransackers in here, a handful of militia, especially the looters, mounted ransackers, the pillagers, those are free. You guys should just consider those free in this campaign. We can have virtually as many as we can carry because those looter bands, well, they're all over the place, right? Anybody who's played Bannerlord, how often do you see looters, right? Like every 5 minutes on the map. Of course, the difference in this campaign is they're not a looter band of 17. It's a looter band of 240, and it includes some mounted units. So 1167. The city's going to be starving by the time we get there, but I think this is one of the situations where it makes sense for us to race over there. This castle's completely lost. There's no chance we can get up there, so that's a dead loss. And we will head southeast and defend Iacus. Now, again, I've talked about some of the preconditions for the French Revolution. What's interesting to me, and this is part of the reason that history is so fascinating to me, is there's plenty of sayings around the lines of history tends to repeat, history always repeats, etc. Of course, it doesn't always repeat, but humankind is largely unchanged. So what I mean by that is that the brain of men and women today is very similar to the brains of men and women from 500 years ago, 300 years ago, with the exception of maybe shorter, and there's a big looter band right there, with the exception of maybe shorter attention spans, because thanks to Snapchat and YouTube. Of course, you're watching YouTube right now. Hopefully this is lengthening your attention span. Hopefully my channel is improving the general attention span and intellect of the viewer, whereas those ghetto 10-minute shorts or 10-second short where somebody does something stupid, flips off a fucking off a railing into the water, that shit's decreasing your attention span, right? That's the best way I can pump up my channel. This channel makes you smarter and improves your brain so you won't get Alzheimer's when you're 90. The other channels are just totally fucking destroying your brain. There you go. And I will go ahead and I guarantee it, right? We'll do one of those fucking fake news things. In all seriousness, though, right? The attention span of the average person has been measured to go down over the last 5 years, simply because of things like Snapchat and these little 12-second scrolling videos. So careful how much you use those, friends. You're doing damage that you maybe don't know about. All right, that was my 12 seconds of soapbox. So back to the French Revolution, right? Like I said, people today are very much like they were 300 years ago, right? They aspired to do good things. They wanted a better life, and they wanted to get a degree at a university and make something out of this life for themselves. They wanted a wife, they wanted a husband, they wanted some kids and a dog and a picket fence. I mean, that's a little bit of exaggeration, but it's largely the same, right? We have a lot of the same emotions and drives within our brain. And so why is that important, right? Because there's a lot of events that are happening today within the United States, within parts of Western civilization, that you could really say are looking a little bit eerily similar to the French Revolution. And bear with me here, right? I'm not saying there's an imminent revolution like in France or the United States or anything like that. However, I would not be surprised if within 10 or 15 years we have major unrest in Western civilization. Now, the French Revolution was largely caused because the people were aware of how unfair the system was. And what I mean by that is the poorest and middle class people, they didn't really have a middle class back then. In fact, the middle class was like your lawyers and doctors. We're having some sex here as we run down to Iacus. But the poor, for sure, paid much more taxes than they probably should have. And what I mean by that is these people were already destitute. They were already starving. And Louis XIV, all the way to Louis XVI, were charging exorbitant rates on taxes, making them buy salt from the government, etc. And the people were very hard-pressed simply to survive, right? There was inflation. The price of bread was going up and shit like that. and there were negative impacts. This is one of those situations where I'm just going to change the music. Sometimes there's an annoying track that's blaring over my monologue here, and I want to make sure you guys can actually be able to hear me. That's sort of important if you're listening or paying attention at all. Now, if I siege Askar here, we won't be able to defend Ayakis. So I think it makes sense that we go to Ayakis first and then turn around and come try to siege Askar. But I want to get rid of this cancer in the middle of our realm here. This Aserai stronghold, fucking 1,300 defenders. We might not even be able to successfully take that. So it's over to Ayakis. All right, so the poor were paying a disproportionate amount of taxes. In fact, the rich and the clergy paid hardly any taxes, which nobody thinks is fair, including the rich people. And what I mean that is today, there are many rich people, billionaires mostly, that through the complex tax system, especially in the United States, pay very little taxes. Now, I don't mean very little as a percentage or as a total amount of money. They pay millions in taxes, but by percentage, rich people pay something like 6 to 8% taxes on their income, whereas the lower classes pay 10 to 20%, right? This is obviously wrong, right? There's no reason that your garbage man or the waitress should pay a higher tax rate than billionaires. Now, I wish these looters would move faster. I'm actually going to we're going to use these guys here, right? These 560 looters. There's a large couple Aserai armies here. I'm just basically herding these looters a little bit closer so that we have less likelihood of deserters, right? We're going to be overstocked here for units. A bunch of angry lower class people paying too many taxes, and we're going to try to take out vengeance here on the Aserai. So we'll get back to that. I better stick here to tactics because we're about to have a large battle. It's tempting to fight them in the open here, right? They have, 1,600, and we will lose a lot if we go inside the city here, right? We will lose... You lose about 12%, 10 to 15% of your force when you break in. So I think it actually makes sense. The garrison has sallied out here to help us, even though it's going to be looters and pillagers. We will give this a shot in the open. I don't want to every single time just break in and hide like a coward behind the walls. Plus, sometimes you're actually better off not sacrificing those 150, 200 troops and doing some tactics on the battlefield. We shall see, right? It'll obviously depend on the results of this battle. If we lose 600 troops, or even worse, if we're defeated, it'll look like a bad decision. All right, so units here in pretty familiar locations, right? By now you guys understand we have sort of weak shield cavalry in the 2nd Division, shock troops. I would say shock troops. We really don't have shock troops, but if there are any shock troops, it's the 3rd Division. Maybe we have 20 guys that have a two-handed weapon. Maybe there's some looters in there with their little pickaxe, right? And then we have archers in the 4th, 5th, and 6th. I like to have at least 2 archer divisions and even 3. And of course, we have the horse archers in the 7th. Actually, we've got the 8th Division as well. We really have 5 ranged divisions. And what does that do? It gives you incredible enfilade fire for the enemy, right? Wherever they go, they're going to be getting shot at by 4 different angles by archers, horse archers, jav, cav, etc. Now, my tactical strategy plan here depends on whether or not they're coming in aggressively. If the Aserai have a lot of cavalry, they will charge. If they don't, they will play more defensive. So I will assume a little bit of... Oh, shit. Almost fell off the cliff. I will assume a slightly defensive posture here until I see what they're doing. And... that is coming at us. In fact, they're actually blowing the horn. That horn comes from the immersive battlefield mod, I believe it's called, and that is their units charging, right? So it's a little bit of an audio cue that the enemy is definitely coming in aggressively. So we will start setting up a few defensive lines here. I actually have way too many cavalry, but worse than that, they're all paper-thin cavalry, right? These guys are fucking tier 2 and tier 3 cavalry. They will be insta-killed by Aserai Vanguard Faris or any good javelin throw. They're just going to get dropped immediately. This fucking lord is just insolently riding into our ranks here. We'll have that guy skinned alive or some other horrific shit if we win this battle. No. When we win this battle. We can't fucking lose these battles. I mean, I guess we could retreat, but this would be devastating for our campaign. We must win. All right, a little weak wall of shields there. At least some of those guys have shields. There's some Jawal in there. I've got an infantry line here right at the front. They're going to absorb arrows. And we have 2 archer divisions with outstanding angles on the enemy. But I'm watching that enemy cav line over there, and I actually want to I want to grab a cavalry division here. Let's protect them. We've got 2 cav divisions in the middle. That's going to be too crowded. So let's go ahead and move the 2nd over here and help out and keep these archers protected. Holy shit, there's a huge amount of infantry vanguard moving in a lot faster than I expected. Man, this is a problem. I don't have a lot of infantry here, so we're going to kite, but they are coming in quick. They're coming in faster than I anticipated. I just charged with our cavalry here to buy us a little bit of time, but man, are they going to suffer losses. And we did fall off that time. Look at the death span. Of course, it's mounted ransackers. Those guys are one-shot by Manavliaton. Damn it, we're killing our own units here. I'm butchering this battle. All right, first, try to get out of here. I might not have backed these guys up in time. I don't know why the enemy's... I don't know. I'm just being out-fucking-maneuvered here by a very aggressive enemy force. Let's go ahead and get flanking fire on them at least. That 1st division is going to get swallowed up. The 3rd division can also be brought to the enemy's right flank. We can get our archers pulled back. The 5th have a good position, but they can't shoot them, so I'm going to have to bring the 6th over. Fuck. Right, let's go ahead and just counter with horse archers up there. It's very rare that I feel uncomfortable in a battle like this, but I do right here. Right? The enemy has a very powerful vanguard, and they're boring in, which is the appropriate strategy, as fast as they can. Fortunately, our kiting here did cause them to rethink, right? And they're pulling back. That's the worst thing they can do, because now we can start peppering them. Man, it's a tough vanguard, though. A bunch of tier 5 and tier 6 fucking... or tier 5 infantry. And that is one of the best combos in the game, by the way, is the veteran infantry, the Aserai veteran infantry and Legionary is outstanding. If you've never used them together, you should try. They are devastating. Of course, they have palace guards in there as well. And I have, mounted ransackers. All right, we're going to join our guys on foot here. It's a mess. This battle is very messy. It's been a while since I felt like we made tactical mistakes. I just got smoked in the face by some kind of fucking ranged weapon. But we're now on foot. This guy's blazingly fast. We do have the enemy vanguard surrounded here, so hopefully we can swallow and destroy this. They are getting peppered from the side. I see the arrows raining in here. And I think numerically now we probably outnumber them here, at least in the core of the battle. And the death span just turned. Of course, we have some companions that are helping. We really need those companions to get 8, 10, 12 kills every battle. Those guys with 180 weapon skill, they're basically like a solid legionary type unit. All right, well, fended that vanguard off. That was a good result. It started bad, but at least it ended well. We've got a lot of decimated units here, and we're going to start moving up our lines here to take advantage of this terrain. Yeah, see, the 5th can be tucked away beautifully there. The enemy basically has to come around that corner and get smoked by arrows to get to those guys. We'll be judicious with our ammunition here as the enemy reforms. Now, they do have a bunch of cavalry still sparring with us, and from what I can see, there's a lot of armor in there too, right? There's a lot of gleaming gold hauberks from Aserai Faris and upgraded units, Vanguard Faris, Mamluk cavalry. These guys all have superior equipment to our units, right? So this is going to be a bit of a bear, but I don't want to waste a bunch of ammunition at this stage. Although I also don't have a bunch of shock troops to counter. So let's see what we can do here with just these few divisions. The 4th division, the 2nd division can charge. And of course, I'm going to try to help here. I see some of our companions hacking down the enemy, but man, this is rough, right? Mounted ransackers coming in here, attacking tier 6 Aserai Vanguard Faris, and heavily modded, enhanced enemy lords is a really hard recipe for success. Just slugging it out here against obviously tough units. Usually we're used to the death span being in the opposite direction here. Frankly, we're getting our asses kicked. I see the rest of the other Aserai forces are moving up, but we've got this brief 30 seconds here to really give this enemy force a pounding, although we're the one that looks like taking a pounding. Like, I just glance over there, and it's all red death spam. Yeah, and of course, don't forget, the militia sallied out here, right? I mentioned it before the battle. We have a bunch of militia, including weak-ass militia archers. We have a bunch of mounted ransackers. These battles are going to be gritty. They're going to be bloody, and they're not going to be easy. So we've got a handful of infantry here. I just opened fire because a lot of these archers just have to shoot, right? We need their firepower, even though there's more enemy forces boring in here. We just have to have these guys shooting. I am a little bit at a loss for tactically our best option here, right? We do have a couple infantry lines as I get smoked in the face by a javelin. Okay, this guy is one of our swordsmen. He's got some javelins, and our units are all mixed up now, right? It's gone from bad to worse. Every single one of these battles could be the battle that really puts us down in this campaign. Now, we do have a combined charge here, right? We've got a whole bunch of units pouring forward, so the death spam is at least sort of good. But man, what a bloody, messy battle, right? And get a few of these divisions divided, try to get some flanking fire up on these upper hills. But look at our infantry line, right? Every single guy there has no armor, right? There's not a single piece of gleaming armor in there because they're militia. It's either militia or mounted ransackers. I see maybe a few lake rats mixed in there. And over there, similarly, I see a handful of forest bandits that are going to be able to help those flanking forces. But the enemy's moving up a vast amount of infantry, and they also have a lot of archers coming. This is going to be a mess. Let's try to tuck these archers. I'm going to try to save our companion here, but she looks cooked. Down she goes. And talk about messy. This second division here, unfortunately, they're mixed with cavalry, so I can't really use them how I want. That happens when you get killed with the RTS mod. Not with the RTS mod, but with the battle size mod. So this large line of infantry with mostly peasants and militia, we're charging now. It is getting ugly, and just trying to get some momentum here as the enemy comes in just as fast. We have a good old-fashioned brawl here, and our mounted ransackers and shit. We're going to need every single one of these militia to win this battle. This guy's got some decent javelin skills here as we smoke a master archer right in the neck. But obviously he's not Hugh the Hammer, right? This guy's not going to wade through the enemy troops. In fact, I'm likely to get killed here unless I'm careful. I've got to kind of run and get an occasional swing in. It takes them 3 hits to kill somebody, right? These guys are just not the same character. Holy shit, they've got a ton of archers just scorching our archers. Let's send a line of peasants directly at them. It's a suicide charge for half our forces here. What we can do is we can divide half of our infantry here and send them into this packed archer mass. At least it'll make them stop shooting, even though most of them will definitely get killed. I'm being chased. I don't have time to even divide the units I want to right now because these fucks are all over me. What a mess. Yeah, I know there are plenty of guys who watch the channel that like this, that like to see us struggle a little bit. Well, you've come to the right campaign, right? This is going to be a struggle the whole way. I've got, these companions are solid fighters, but they're just nothing like Hugh the Hammer. Of course, most of them are like level 20 or 18 and stuff like that. And you can see our center infantry line there is charging like fiend champs and whatnot. And we have a bunch of peasants. I mean, our infantry line literally looks like a whole bunch of guys that just got released from parole, a bunch of prisoners and shit. None of those guys have armor. That's all looters. So up we go here, right? Let's send that. This is what I was thinking earlier. Let's just send a big mass of them straight into the enemy, and the rest of them can be told to charge. That way what it does is it stops a lot of the enemies from shooting, and we can get some of these looters in here and fight. Look at this shit. It's just an absolute scrum with looters. And the enemy has just a maelstrom of just slightly better troops. I mean, if you guys want carnage and huge battles, here you go, right? Fiend champs being attacked by looters. Kill this fucking fiend champ. It's me and this looter guy here with this little fucking butcher knife. Cut him down. All right, they're starting to reform here. That guy got beheaded right in front of me. Oh, I just got fucking smoked in the face. All right, Yuha, this is an F1, F3 situation. They're reforming. We've got looters all locked and loaded with their little petrified turd. You can see they're all trying to throw their little rock or whatever it is, doing 3 damage. There's 50 of them, though, doing, 3 damage. It actually adds up. Let's try to get archers or peasants on the side of the enemy flanks here and bore in on them before they can reform. This is a situation where you definitely just want to move in aggressively as fast as you can. There's some chance they're just routing off the map as our fucking looters stab these guys as they try to retreat. We will farm a little bit of skill points with this guy here. Almost always you're going to do better with your units than the AI does. And I think I just let out a big sigh because we have won this. Look at our looters running up, all these guys with fucking cloth helms on. That's not a good sign, right? Trying to fight fiend champs and shit. And we've got a bunch of guys with no armor, 0. They're just wearing clothes and no shields. But victory is victory here, right? And in this situation, it's a bloody battle, but it is what it is. And like I said, I could hide in the town, but that doesn't make sense to me, right? We're not just going to break in and hide in a town every time the going gets tough, right? We're going to fight some open field battles, even if it's difficult here. And these guys literally look like homeless guys, a bunch of gypsies holding their petrified turd high in the air proudly, and 450 dead. This is a very costly battle, but yeah, you know, kind of like I suspected. Not very many losses from our best troops, mostly looters and militia getting killed here, of course, because they're tier 1, tier 2, and so their death rate is commensurately higher. So we can recover from this, right? This is not a Pyrrhic victory. You know, we're going to be able to go right out and recruit a bunch more looters and mounted ransackers. So it's worse than it actually looks. Now, right in the middle of that, on top of everything else, my caffeinated system, I started to feel a desperate urge to take a bathroom break. So we will drop some units off here, grab some prisoners, and then I'm going to have to reform the army a little bit here. I've got to put some prisoners, I've got to put some looters rather into the garrison, and I need to grab almost every good troop that we can out of this city. You know, because it's going to be nonstop. This campaign, there will be no time for us just to hang out in a village or a city and go to a tavern anytime in a rebellion, and anytime in world history when there was a rebellion, if the looters and whatnot, if the rebels decided, hey, let's take a month off, they were quickly surrounded, destroyed, drawn and quartered, etc. We don't want to share their same fate here, so a little autosave. We will, we'll straighten out some of our units here, do a little editing, and we will be right back. All right, I should make that should be pretty seamless for you. That took me about 4 minutes to even out some of our units. Of course, it says we only have 320 troops, but that's because we have almost 500 injured. And we need to get some troops and hot-footed over. You know, I don't think we're going to make it to Quyaz. It might be time for us to get rid of this cancer Askar in the middle of our kingdom, right? Our little rebellion. The Aserai have this city, and there are forces around here mustering. They've got this safe spot. Of course, they're recruiting troops and shit like that. We've got to get rid of Askar, and then maybe we can head up to Quyaz, but it's a long ways away. It's unlikely we're going to be able to defend all the way up north and help. So we will even out some of these units. We'll pick up some more free looters here, right? Fortunately, we have these looter bands all over the place. And so it's nice and free troops, but that last battle was perfectly illustrative of how small an advantage this is. I'm learning this is a lot more valuable for the garrison. Whoops, she's already full. So we'll have to dump some looters on the... We'll just dump some on the wayside here. Look at this guy following Zuad's party, right? So the Aserai, I don't think they're at war with anybody else. No, it's just us. So the onslaught isn't over yet. There's more Aserai forces coming. I think let's go take Askar. It's going to be a bitch. It had 1,300 in it when we went by, 15, 20 minutes ago. Quyaz is probably going to fall. 560 defenders, but don't forget, most of that, in fact, almost all of that is militia. Militia and looters. The Northern Empire is at war with the Valandians, so there's a chance that after they take Quyaz, which is going to happen, I'm just not going to be able to make it up there, especially since I want to take Askar here. There's a good chance that the Northern Empire doesn't just bore in hard to our kingdom because they're right next to Valandia. They're dealing with the Valandian threat. It would be really nice if someone declared war on the Aserai. That way the Aserai had somebody else to fight besides us. Otherwise, we're fighting the Aserai and the Southern Empire 100%, right? All of their forces are attacking us, and more free looters here. We will take them. And we're also dealing with the Northern Empire and Khazate. Don't forget, Khazate declared war on us. They are in the mix as well. In fact, they're up there. I think they took that castle already. So, pile on the difficulty. But again, parallels to the French Revolution, and I can talk about this a little bit here. We will talk about all the stages of the French Revolution, mostly in chronological order. I will do my best to talk about it in a chronological order. What you need to know is that eventually the French basically overthrew the monarchy, right? They beheaded the king and the queen. I will talk more about the events that led up to that because there's some important things to learn about. But after that happened, the other nobility all across Europe declared war on this revolution and said, fuck no, we're not about to let your cancerous rebellion spread to our kingdoms. The last thing, of course, the other kings and queens of kingdoms all over Europe want is not only to lose power, but get the ultimate loss of power, removal of the head from their shoulders, right? They were Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI were ultimately executed. And I can talk a little bit about that. As we're going to siege here, it's going to take me a couple minutes to knock down their siege weapons. There's a pretty good sized defense force here, so we've got to at least destroy their counter siege. So again, we don't suffer massive casualties. Now, I was able to get probably 80% or 70% of our army back into fighting shape. We picked up some Aserai units again by accident, but we don't have that many looters in the army, right? I'm almost going to give you guys a percentage. Our army is 90% non-looterville, right? We have a pretty good army because you can't really siege cities very well with only looters, right? They just get instant. Although, look at this shit. This is amazing. Look at this. This looks like 3 Southern Empire forces were all captured. And look at, I love how it reads out. Has been taken prisoner by the looters. Like the looters are a kingdom. By the looters. The looters took them prisoner. It's fucking a beautiful thing. So these large bands of looters are out there, you know, kind of sort of quasi-allied with us, right? They're attacking our enemy, and of course, anytime we happen upon looters, they are eager to join our rebellion. It's a very fun dynamic for part of this. All right, so I left off earlier saying basically that there was a huge mob, and they went to the Tuileries and effectively took the royal family, the Louis XVI, Queen Antoinette, come with us, Queen Marie Antoinette, and they took them to Paris by force. Of course, they didn't drag them in chains, but it was, you know, for all intents and purposes, they were prisoners. Well, while they were there, the royal family, the king and queen, they orchestrated an escape. They were going to try to escape, I think, to the east. I can't remember actually the direction. I'm almost certain they went to the east, the northeast, and their intent was to go, you know, under basically sanctuary of another one of the royal families nearby, raise an army, raise a foreign army to then attack the French troops and obviously try to put down the rebellion. Now, you can understand how that would be perceived by the people, right? That would be perceived as a direct act of treason. So when Louis XVI and the Queen were captured trying to escape, and it was learned that they were trying to bring foreign troops to help put down the rebellion, that was the moment where the French people really did understand that the king and queen did not care about the French people. They cared about their own power, their own position, and within some months of that event, they were executed. So I do want to talk about tactics here because this is going to be a challenge. So I'm going to break off that. Again, hopefully it's not too jarring for you fellas. I want to sort of fill some of the voids where we're just chucking catapults at walls with a little bit of narration here and there. But I do understand I'm sort of giving you guys the French Revolution in dribs and drabs. It's probably not the best way to learn it, but we shall see, right? We will see. Again, please leave feedback. I appreciate all the feedback, the positive and the negative, and I do read it, even if I don't respond to every comment. It's very difficult to respond to I've been averaging about 1,500 comments a month on the channel, and you guys obviously understand as much as I love all you enthusiasts, I just don't have the time to go through that. And respond to every single comment. I do my best though, fellas. All right, so let's see what we do here. I've got the 2nd and 3rd division. Those are both JAV divisions. The 3rd division on the ram, I want to be the weakest troops as possible because I don't know if you saw it, but the enemy has they have a cat still up. I wasn't able to destroy it all. I didn't want to spend 12 minutes really sieging down the castle. We can't afford the days, right? How many other cities will be under siege? So they do have some fire catapults, and we're just going to rush up there and try to minimize losses with these divisions. So the 2nd, 3rd, and I think we'll do the 6th, maybe even the 5th and 6th. We'll position them around here, and you just cringe every time the fire catapults go out there attacking your units, of course, because even elite units, you can lose 30, 40, 50 at a time to a catapult blast. The same way that when we use them on defense, right, you're just scorching the enemy you know, the shoes on the other foot in this instance. All right, so we can get these ladders up here quickly, and I'm going to send at least one of these infantry divisions up hard here. I've got the, let's see, the first. So the third is actually on the ram, I think. Yeah. So the first and second here can go over the wall. And you can see these are Scuzz troops, but that's okay. I just want them to be on the ladder because it forces the enemy to do exactly what they're doing. And that is defend the walls, which makes them vulnerable to 85,000 javelins, arrows, flaming arrows. Oh shit. Yeah, and see, we just got a bunch of guys smoked by this fucking catapult. I wish I could kill this guy. I don't think we can get line of sight. Maybe, just maybe, our catapult guy on the fire catapult can hit him. But I think he's going to get off a handful more rounds here on us. Yeah, just scorching our units. That fucking asshole. So the other thing I can do is I can get myself up there and attack that guy, right? That catapult is right next to where our guys are going up on the ladder. So if I get an aggressive push up there, I can just cut over to the left and attack those fucks that are on that catapult, right? And stop them from doing that. It's almost like saving 30 to 50 troops, of course, because they won't be blowing any more of our units up. And then I can open up this fucking gate, right? And we can get units through the front gate. Our guys are enthusiastically yelling die as we charge up here. And it looks like a scrum, right? It looks like there's scores of defenders here. There's a bunch of elite fucking Mamluk guards and whatnot. One less Sturgeon warrior here. Smoked the guy in the back of the head. And I'm just going to shove through this because I want to get to those catapult fucks. These fucking assholes here. Yeah, this is a lot of troops. I'm going to get cornered if I'm not careful. These guys here, now this catapult's out of commission, right? Scorched. We can even chuck a few of their rocks symbolically on their own troops. These don't do the same damage when you throw them, but at least it can pop a few of them in the back of the head. Now, motherfucker, goddamn. With so little armor, that militia did 22 to my head. 36 and 22. That's amazing. Now we open this door, and we're going to start to blow this fucking siege open. You can be efficient still, even with mediocre troops. It just takes a lot of awareness, a lot of tactics, and a good game plan. Hopefully we can do exactly that. This fucking guy blocks 87 shots in a row. Militia can be stubborn, right? They're holding their little shields up. They're not worthless. They're not strong, of course, but they can be fairly useful in a siege defense and a pain in the ass to overcome. All right, let's get infantry divisions moved up here. Archers spread out in the courtyard. If they're dumb enough to come through that main door, we're going to kill all of them. It looks like they're just sending up handfuls of units here and there, like little reinforcement waves. I think we're going to have to go around, right? That door will be closed. Or too hard to get in, right? So let's leave archers and skirmishers here in the courtyard. That way it'll smoke guys on the walls. I see him already shooting up at the walls. We can send a few guys through the gate, but I'm going to send the majority of our forces around here. I know this city pretty well. And there's a big wraparound rampart here that leads to that lower level, right? We'll be able to bypass a lot of those defenders. We have all this archer support. We've got infantry moving up on the walls here, and we can just systematically roll this keep up from our right to our left, right? Looks like our units are in there killing everything in the tower. There's already a whole bunch of dead bodies up here, so our guys are doing good work. Can push that square through just in case somehow they're able to shove through the main gate. But I want our units coming to me. You see that infantry, those green guys are going the wrong way? I actually just want them following me because I want to take them down this direction. We'll be able to get more troops faster down in the courtyard in my direction here, right? So we'll pull, let's see, the first. We've got like 4 divisions here. We can just totally fucking blitz the enemy on this side. 7th, 6th, 1st. 7th, 6th, and 1st should be enough. There's a bunch of guys attacking on the walls, which is good, right? We want the enemy pressured. There's some guys going through the main gate. I see them dying. The mounted ransackers just get totally scorched by high-level units. But lo and behold, we're about to have a huge breach here, right? This is the proverbial rats are pouring through the gates here. The defenders at the gate are about to get a really rude awakening here as all these bandits and fucking looters and Beni Zalal spread out here. We're going to be able to fan out in a big fucking line behind them. Not only cut off their reinforcements, but just spray them full of javelins and arrows. First division can just charge because they're mixed all over the place. And I want to get the 6th and 7th just... There we go. Now we're good. Spread out here and we can just fucking start unloading now. Bitches get off there. Yeah, there's like 300 guys here at the gate. You guys are fucked. Let's bring these guys over here all the way. Let's bring them so they're just, you know, totally thick as fucking lice on fucking Napoleon's head. That was a thing back then, right? Even Napoleon, during the Russian campaign, had lice. Lice were in their pandemic moment in the French Revolution era. People today probably barely even know what lice are. Basically fleas for a human head of hair. Fucking asshole militia. These guys are getting absolutely destroyed. They've got infantry on one side and archers and skirmishers behind them, and they just melted like an ice cube. All right. So the enemy has a bunch of troops over here on their right, on our left side of the keep. We're going to move in here systematically and not with these looters. These looters will just be executed. It looks like they have a bunch of archers. Can't see exactly where. Some of their forces are trickling over, but I hear them yelling. Die! Okay, they've got some infantry pushing forward, but that's not very many infantry. I'm not worried about 50 infantry. Let's find out where their archers are and start bringing in forces here to flank them. It looks like their archers are in a defensive position over there. And again, just trying to minimize losses here. This siege is ours. Now it's just a matter of doing this as efficiently as possible. This whole campaign is just going to be one continuous attempt to be efficient here, right? Getting my ass beat, a bunch of militia just fucking whacking me with their little blacksmith hammer. Fuck you. They're swarming our troops. All right, we've got some archers here. I don't see most of their units, so their archers, look at that, 310, and they're like around the corner there. That's going to require some thought process here, right? That means they're in a defensive position. And if you've ever been shot at by 300 archers at once, you insta-die, right? It's a peekaboo ridge, basically. We'll see where they are here. They might be on the stairs over there. But this keep also has a couple really good platforms for archers to stand. So we'll see where they are. Oh yeah, look at them up there. And as soon as I went around that corner, I just saw the flaming arrows get knocked. So those guys have some shields. What do we have here for shields? 6th. Those guys don't have very many shields. Pull back, fellas. You're going to get smoked. Fuck, get back. All right, let's pull the 6th back. What do we have here? We've got a bunch of troops, but not many of them have shields. Okay, I've got an infantry division here with Lake Rat records. That's what we need. Even though there's there's looters and ransackers in there, we're going to go ahead and sacrifice those guys. Now, let's go ahead at the same time as those guys are charging. Let's go ahead and pull archers up and get skirmishers spread out behind them. Holy shit, that's a bunch of archers up there. So I'm just going to move across the top here and pull the 7th Corps. I've got a companion here throwing a javelin with me. And hopefully we can get archers spread out here so that we can get supporting fire on all of these fucks. The infantry's moving in a nice shield wall, so they're not getting scorched too bad. I mean, obviously we're going to suffer some losses here. All right, we're in good shape now. The arrows are starting to fly in and starting to burn their flesh. I can fire javelins, but you know what else we can do? Fuck it, right? Let's just wade in here. These are militia and lower level units. Let's just fucking teach them a good lesson. Fucking trash all these fucks. Fucking elite crossbow. Fuck you. I'm gonna kick you to death. And look at the flaming arrows set up now, right? Our archers finally got into position, and you want to talk about an immolation. They're half trying to rout and half getting cooked. This looks like a barbecue. That was epic. They're all yelling, help! They're getting fucking shot and smoked to death. Every guy is hit with 87 arrows. All right. And I call that a highly successful siege assault, right? Even though we have some mediocre units in our army here, we left a giant trail of dead bodies. Now, of course, you know, plenty of militia on the enemy side too. But given the difficulty of this siege assault, this is a tremendous result, right? 270 losses here. We took out 1,100. We will take it. And vitally, no deaths. Amazingly, no deaths. The Death for All mod is active. I actually double-checked it because there's been so few deaths, and it's cranked up. I think the setting is either 10 or 15 or something like that, which is about 4 times the normal rate of death for noble units, including your own. Including Hugh the Hammer, which will be a major buzzkill if he dies. But it is what it is, friends. We like to play authentically on the channel. and we will pick some other character up if he goes down in combat, right? We will hold a little vigil, and then a half hour later, we'll have somebody else barking commands. All right, now what? Now what, right? I don't think we can make it up to Quyaz to defend. We're going to leave mostly militia here. I can leave... Oh, you know what I can leave? I can leave a bunch of mounted ransackers and shit like that here. We got... we just picked these up before we got here. Looter. Yeah, mounted pillager. We'll leave all these guys here because these are the units that are sort of free. They're tier 1 and tier 2. They're weak, but... It's garrison troops, and when the enemy sieges, if you have a bunch of garrisons there, even if it's looters, they do a somewhat admirable, decent job. Not admirable for sure. They do a halfway decent job of slowing down an attacker. It would be way different, of course, if we had, you know, 150 Aserai Master Archers. Now we got these Aserai troops sneaking in still. These mounted pillagers. This is just my companions misbehaving. I've got to set a few more of these cities, of course, to non-auto recruit so that we don't have these Aserai forces sneaking in here. But let's just go ahead and shove 300 ghetto troops into the city here and call that good. Now we can dump these Aserai troops, and immediately now I'm going to look for looters, right? We need more looters because the next challenge is around the corner. I don't think we have any other Aserai units here. No, seems good. I wish we had, you know, 15 mountain bandit bosses. We have like 5. And the good thing is they suffer a very low death rate, but they still die, right? These units, over the course of random battles, when each time they're knocked unconscious, they have like a 10% or something chance to get killed. So Quyaz is gone, for sure. There's almost no defenders there. Let's find some looters and let's head up north and see where it takes us. Mara just... Okay, so that's Quyaz falling there. To the fucking Northern Empire. They just have no business being at war with us, but here they are. And here we go. Looters, beautiful. Right, a nice big group of looters here. We can restock our army, replace effectively, almost instantly replace all those troops we just shoved in the garrison. A nice advantage, but again, as we saw a few battles ago, they're not worth that much in a battle, right? These guys tend to melt away like fucking... like artificial cheese in the microwave. These guys are only so useful. Get some of these units leveled out, and we will head up north and see where that Northern Empire force goes next, right? Or maybe they'll go attack. Hopefully, they attack Valandia. There's even a chance, of course, that Valandia attacks them, and then it gets really messy, right? Because if Valandia is near us, they'll probably declare war on us as well. Those stupid assholes chasing after me. Well, I mean, an extended play period, but we're going to keep narrating. Maybe we'll do some clipping later on here. And I just got to reinforce Ain Balik here before we go north. There's like 160 troops here. I don't want it to be a super easy target, so we'll just let's just dump off a bunch more of these looters and pillagers here, right? We've got these tier 1 and 2 units. Now, I'm going to be taking especially archers that, like the militia archer that's tier 3. That's a little bit better. We'll be adding them to the army. Unfortunately, there's still some Aserai troops here that are leaking through. And I know what's going on here, of course. So that this is the auto recruit is still left on a few of these castles. So it'll be about 30 seconds while I adjust a few things here. We will dump these Aserai troops. And then we will fetch... trying to remember who I stuck all our pillagers on. I think it was Wahan the Golden. We will fetch all these pillagers here and dump them at this castle. Yeah, he's got them. So we'll just grab these quick, stick all these looters here, and I know they're free, right? You guys might be like, well, it's an exploit. You know, you're getting free troops and dumping them at garrisons. Yeah, it's window dressing too, right? These are tier 1 and 2 units. It's not like they're going to defend the city vigorously. At some point or other, we will have a village defense where we have a lot of looters, and it'll be interesting because, of course, we'll try some tactics. They've got those little stones, and I presume in a keep siege that's unlimited, right? We've never really fucked around with a looter siege defense. That won't be my first choice, of course. Hopefully we still have about 70 or 80 forest bandits between our different armies. In fact, here's 82 now we have. You know, we might have 90 or 95 total in the army. He's got 5. You know, so almost 100 forest bandits, and they're kind of like the poor man's Fian, right? They're very capable archers. And we have some, we've got some Skolder Warrior Broda here. We've got, we still have some Boar Champions, right? And those are nice auxiliary archer or crossbow to the Forest Bandits. Between the two of those, that's basically our ranged attack. Obviously, we have these mounted pillagers, but they don't really amount to much. Now, I'd like to take 2 Bylus Castle as well, right? We want to continue. Our main goal here right now is to destroy the Southern Empire, but obviously, we got to continue to fend off attacks here. And indeed, here's the Northern Empire force. 700 cavalry, 800 cavalry. Oh shit. Okay, we can't fight this. Look at their Imperial Elite Cataphract. 366 Elite Imperial Cataphract. And 132 just tier 5 cataphracts. Just run-of-the-mill tier 5s. They only have 130. That's almost 500 cavalry, heavy cavalry. We cannot fight that. So, what do we do here? Let's see. Kind of out of options. I don't have a lot of great options here. For sure, we're going to let them get weakened by the garrison. They're heading to one of our castles that has a bunch of pillagers at it, right? Ukba. I think it's Ukba Castle's how you'd pronounce it. Needless to say, we can't. I mean, we might be able to take that in the open, but man, is that a risky battle, right? We got people. See, these other armies are dying. They're losing troops to the death for Almad, but it doesn't seem to be affecting us the same way. 600 defenders at Ukba. In a perfect world here, we would get a sandstorm battle or two. In a perfect world, though, those 600, if those were regular troops, they might knock an army of 1,300 down to 200, 300, 400, right? And then you could assault them outside the city, sort of like the siege of Vienna, right? Repeated sieges of Vienna. There was, what do we got? Oh, that's his army sieging. At Siege of Vienna, there were multiple battles outside the walls, including the big battle, I think, in 1683, where Jan Skobiecki and his cavalry trampled, what was it, the Turks, right? The Ottomans. Okay. Man, the pressure keeps on coming, right? Ain Balik. We just reinforced that, and fortunate timing. Again, these Aserai troops are leaking through, so we got to fix this. Let's see. This is Barihal Castle. See, the auto recruit thing is on. There might be another castle or two here. Okay, Askar. Right. All right. Well, at least now that these places shouldn't be making troops. Of course, when our companions go to a city, they are still recruiting troops. I cannot stop them. I'm aware there's some mods that makes for that, but I don't want to load too many mods mid campaign here. And it hasn't been too big of a pain in the ass. It's been 10 seconds here, 5 seconds there. It hasn't been too obnoxious. So even more looters here. We can just continue to stack the garrisons, or at least as far as numbers, right? It's a motley crew. None of them have armor, right? These mounted pillagers kind of look like assassins with their little hood, but obviously they're wearing cloth. They don't have any armor at all. So that doesn't bode well when they get shot in the face by an Imperial Sergeant crossbow. So at some point or other, we're going to get some siege with some of these looters, and that should be glorious fun. In the meanwhile, though, I think we need to go destroy whatever's attacking here at Ain Balik. I'm hoping let's see, we got to keep track of all these forces. I'm hoping the Northern Empire force there at Ukba gets worn down a little bit, and then the Southern Empire is attacking here at Ain Balik. So the inundation of enemy troops is coming, and it's almost like the game is like, oh yeah, you think that was a lot? Have some Aserai troops. There's 2 separate Aserai troops running along there like they're part of an armada, probably heading for Askar or maybe Barihal Castle. Now I really don't know what to do, right? I can't attack the Southern Empire because they're in the way. I guess we wait for them to go by and then we ambush that Southern Empire force. We do have a pretty decently strong army. I will use the same metric. Our army right now is 80% non-looters, right? So it's a pretty good army as far as we've had in this campaign. We're really running out of shock troops, meat troops. We don't have a lot of sea raiders left. I would bet our whole army has 100 infantry of that grade, right? Sea raider chiefs and whatnot. As more Aserai forces come in here. So that's over 2,000 Aserai. You know what? We're going to get our siege of Barihal, and that's a place we just put a bunch of looters. So ask and you shall receive. The game here is intent on on providing us endless action. I thought that was another castle for a second. I was like, holy fuck, give me a break here. But let's destroy this force outside the city, or at least let's attempt to. One of these battles, of course, we're going to get surprised. When the power bar almost has us favored, I like our odds. Let's see if we can't minimize casualties here. There will get to a point where I don't show you fellas these kind of battles, but in the, I guess you'd call this the middle early stages of this campaign, I'm going to show you a lot of these battles that are worthwhile fighting here. Of course, I'm still honing sort of our bandit, forest bandit, sea raider tactics here. There's some unique tactics because we don't have a traditional shield wall line of cavalry. We've got all these weak horse archers. I'm considering dismounting them and stuff like that. I've got some options, but it's very different than I'm used to. And of course, we don't have shock troops, so there's no shield and shock. We're doing a lot of kill boxes with javelins. We've got 3 divisions of javelins, the 1st, 3rd, and 6th. I say that because there are a few shock troops in there, but nothing to really calibrate it or clarify it, constitute that group as a shock troop division, right? There's not enough in there for me to really feel like that's a true shock troop division, right? Ordinarily, I'd stick 100 shock troops behind the 2nd Cavalry here and devastate the enemy cavalry. However, we're also getting pounded with archers, right? Anytime that Jav Cav attack our 2nd Cavalry, those guys just melt because they have little wooden shields, and all of a sudden, if scores of Aserai Vanguard Faris javelins, Jareeds, start landing in their midst, they just get absolutely broken apart. I'm going to overload the 5th. I've been doing this a lot. I like that 4th Division having 30 to 50 crossbow. That way, if I need to square those guys in an emergency, I can do so. Even use them as a shield wall to charge, right? It's one of the few divisions where I know I have 30 to 50 shields. 7th will be horse archers. I may dismount them again. It's probably going to be mostly those mounted pillagers. They're tier 2 little bandit with a bunch of arrows. Dismounting them and then moving them behind their cavalry actually works decent because their cavalry then gets in the way of the enemy. They're not getting killed when their cavalry is getting speared. Let's try this longer. I want like a long strip through here. That way they have better line of sight. I love to get down to the ground level and see what my archers can shoot at. They got to be a little closer here. Of course, the enemy may not attack us, right? Usually the Aserai is pretty aggressive. Valandia almost always tends to charge. Unless they form their little death circle, Valandia tends to charge, Aserai tends to charge, Britannia tends to be more defensive. The AI does have a certain profile with different kingdoms, and the Aserai tend to be more aggressive. So we will set up defensively here, and if they charge, we're going to dismount that 7th Cav with Jav Cav behind them. The idea being that they'll run into our cavalry, and then hopefully a hail of javelins. It just gives the enemy one more barrier to run through as they try to rush in on us. 4th crossbow there, that way we can square them. And let's see what we got here. 250 infantry. It's a very mixed army. 250 infantry, 200 plus archers, couple hundred cav, and some horse archers coming up. And these guys are just melted. The usual horse archer suicide here. In a way, when there's like 20 of them, it's a waste of ammo because you expel 300 javelins and you kill 20 guys. You could make an argument that if you really wanted to micro your army, you would tell your javelin divisions, all of them, to hold fire. Or an easier way to do it would be to tell all of your units to hold fire and then open fire only with a crossbow and just scorch the horse archers. So they are playing defensive, so we're going to start moving our lines up here. Their cav is kind of jostling back and forth. Maybe we could sit back defensively, and once we had killed enough of their cavalry and horse archers, maybe the rest of their units would commit to offense. But I like that ridge up there by where the palm trees are. We're going to use that. I can get archers up there. We can open up a center here, do a bit of a kill box, slide the 8th Corps in behind them, and I think make pretty short work of this force. This is not the juggernaut force that Northern Empire army is. That Northern Empire army is a problem. 500 heavy cavalry when half of your army doesn't have shields or good armor is a problem. Fans of the channel, fans of Tactical Enlightenment know that I don't have a high opinion of enemy cavalry, especially spear cavalry. It's a very different equation, though, when you got a whole bunch of guys that have either wooden shields or no shields. Now, these guys all have shields, right? The 3rd Division is our best shock troop, our best javelin division. You can see all of these javelins thrown on the ground. Just like me, my guys are kind of being wasteful. I'll just break out the good old hammer here. Club some bitches. Now, this enemy cavalry is not nearly as strong, but they are coming towards our horse archers, so let's cut them off at the 8th. We'll drag the 7th Corps back. These infantry divisions can exchange some javelins and form shield walls. That'll at least slow the enemy cavalry down. And now the 8th Corps here can kind of pinch the enemy while we kite with the 7th. Get those mounted ransackers out of there. Those guys are all going to get, or the mounted pillagers. The mounted archers have no chance in combat. They have no shield at all. No armor and no shield. They just absolutely get one shot. One guy after another gets cut down. They're basically a looter with a bow, right? They're extraordinarily weak. All right. So we've got our 1st and 3rd Division right here firing javelins. The enemy's already breaking. All right, let's start cutting some of these units back. It does look like the enemy infantry is boring in, and I think they are. All right, let's start peeling some back here. The 5th, I'm just going to kind of tuck up in the trees here on our left, of course. The 1st Infantry, if they ignore them, I'm going to put them flat up against this wall. The 4th, 3rd, and 6th, they can all be pressed back as we start to envelop with the crane formation here. And this 1st Division is pinned against the wall, but I can square them. If the enemy turns all their wrath on this 1st Division, God damn it, move, 3rd Division. This is another problem I'm dealing with. It's something you don't think about when you're normally playing Bannerlord. God damn, I smoked a lake rat right in the neck. Sorry, dude. We'll write something nice at your funeral. Your non-tier 5 units don't have high athleticism. So even though I'm pre-kiting here, our units are being caught because they're backing up and they are being chased down by tier 5 infantry. So it's a suboptimal situation. It's actually better if we just square them here. They can square. The 1st Division is totally behind the enemy. These guys are going to shred the enemy. And now we can slide the 7th and 8th in behind the enemy here as well. Actually, let's just do the 8th. The 8th is less vulnerable. Those mounted pillagers, they absolutely fold like a weak poker player under any pressure. We got to protect them. All right, let's push the 3rd back a little bit. The 6th is on the enemy flank at a nice angle. The 1st Division, I almost want to have these guys charge, but look at all the javelins flying in, right? And their enemy is melting. Every javelin they throw cuts a guy down. The 8th Corps is coming in here with me. It's kind of like a weak shield and shock. And let's rip this fucking Southern Empire force a new one. 1st Division is told to charge. The 3rd is still back there in a square, distracting a lot of attention here. The 2nd Division can be told to charge. Those guys are just holding a line. Might as well get them involved. The 3rd and the 6th can also be told to charge because at this stage, the enemy vanguard is utterly surrounded. Fucking dipshit banner knights in here. Get out. I think their infantry's all gone. I think it just melted. I mean, they were in a maelstrom, an absolute hail of bolts there, but I think it's gone. There's a few of them over there getting shot dead, but that was quick. All right, let's move archers up here. Let's get a cav line pushed up on these enemy archers. Of course, this battle now is perfunctory. It was already perfunctory. It was over. It was, at this stage, though, we just want to wrap up this battle without having, an additional 100 casualties. We got a pretty wide archer line, and it's spread. So we're going to incur some losses here, but it is what it is, right? There's nothing you can do about it. When you're charging Imperial Sergeant Crossbow, they're going to drill you between the eyes sometimes with a bolt. Help my men here a little bit. Oh, we've missed our little run-up kick. I target Imperial Sergeant Crossbows with a vengeance because those guys are so deadly. Their mace, especially with the character with no armor, I can get like 2 shot. I'm actually more afraid of their mace than their arrows. Of course, they'll also, kill you with 2 arrows, too. All right, well, that was a quick one. Anytime that we're even number with an army that's not loaded to the gills, you're going to have that kind of effect, right? This army may have a lot of Tier 2 and Tier 3 units, but, tactically, you execute, and it is an execution. That was a massacre. Look at them run! All right, so now what? Bari Hall or the Juggernaut army, right? You have, actually, the Aserai force was, they were upgraded as well. So, and again, virtually no minor clans. I must just be missing them. I'm just not seeing them or something. I'm really looking for Lake Rats, Gilman. I would love some Jawal, some culturally appropriate, but I'm just looking for units, period. It's amazing how few minor clans that have been available for us here. We will start skipping some of the loot and taking a bunch of EXP. It's kind of nice. But of course, we also, it's not like we have a ton of units that are upgrading. Some of these units can upgrade, right? All this militia can upgrade. They really should allow you to upgrade militia, and then eventually it could be like, I don't know, like a master militia, you know, some militia captain or something like that. But alas, updates from Tail Worlds, far and few in between these days. Okay, that's all wars that's going up north. See, the Northern Empire is fighting up north as well. They're fighting, it must be fighting Britannia or Valandia or something like that. It's good that our enemies have some enemies because we can't fight the whole map. Yeah, 2,200 good looking troops, and they've got more coming. That guy has started assaulting Uqba, but I really do want that force to be whittled down. I might attack that Northern Empire force there at Uqba when the city has like 100 defenders left, and the purpose of that is basically using the siege process to dwindle that incredibly powerful force down. I don't want to just jump into every single, like I said, I don't want to jump into every single castle and defend every single time. This is a no-brainer, though. Not only is this a manifestly larger force than us, in fact, let's just kill this guy too. Let's add him to the scrum. I just don't want these Aserai armies running around in our territory, right? So we'll add him to the rat trap here and take this force on. Now look at our little tiny power bar there, right? It doesn't think much of our chances. Now we sneak in and lose 100 in troops, and it gives us some chance to win, but this is a highly defensible castle. I've had very few defenses on this for the channel, but this is a really cool castle. It's a really dynamic castle, and I think we should be able to do good things here with tactics. It's got this long upper area. They don't do the most damage from up there, but talk about an incredible shot to shoot, a spot to shoot rather. They can shoot outside the castle. It's one of the very few places in any of the castles or any of the cities for that matter where somebody very high up can shoot the attacker way outside the castle. It's that there should be more of those in the game, but we'll take it when it's available. So 1, 2, 3. I want a 4th division blocking the right here. I want a crossbow, or I want both a javelin division right here, pounding them as they come up those ladders, and I also want an archer division, the 5th. We've got a lot of units, of course, because we have almost 1,200 defenders, so we have a huge amount of units, but obviously a lot of them are scrubs. There's going to be a lot of guys holding a stick or holding a little blacksmith hammer because we're getting all the garrison here as well, right? We snuck in, we lost 100 and something troops, and now we have a bunch of the garrison troops, and that is a painful thing, right? When we lose 120 troops, I don't know for sure, but I think it's random. So we're probably losing we're probably losing forest bandits, those also, and sea raiders just in the break-in process, which is definitely painful because when you lose them, you don't get them back. Those guys, it's like they're captured by the enemy and presumably drawn and quartered. They're gone forever. I want these guys just in a group, and it's giving me a fit trying to set them up. That's not bad. Just a clump. There we go. That'll do. Spread is better, but line works okay sometimes. Now, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. I'm going to take the 4th and 1 archer division and put it up high. I told you that high location there. We're going to get divisions pushed way up on that wall, but you have to do it manually. In other words, you can't do it before the battle starts. And I'm probably going to put weak troops up there because if I can protect the stairs with a square of infantry, pound them with other groups as they're just trying to go up there shouldn't be a huge amount of pressure on those troops, right? They should be relatively safe up there unless the enemy makes just a huge concerted effort to attack that location, and then they're going to get it destroyed, right? They don't have I'm not going to put powerful troops up there. I think that's actually a good spot for the fire catapult, right? I'll be able to lob it down on the siege ladders. That should work pretty well. Now, this is a ragtag band right here. The 4th, this 4th division, these guys are extraordinarily weak, but when we put this archer division up on that high wall, I think we can put the 4th somewhere in here out of sight of the enemy, and they will do an admirable job of basically acting as bait, right? So now I'm just going to send the 8th all the way down there. You guys have seen me do this plenty before. This is the best way to get your troops in a big long line so that most of them can shoot. And then once they're about, well, you'll see. Once most of them are roughly where you want them to be, right about there, you say stop. F1, F6, and they will hold that position the rest of the battle.
Infantry! Infantry!
Now look at this little pocket here, right? These guys I don't think can be shot from the outside. They're outside of line of sight to the enemy archers, and those guys will do an excellent job standing there, getting beat on by the enemy. And while they're getting beat on, of course, that the archers above them can help. Symbiosis again, right? The infantry square there protects the archers, and the archers protect the infantry square. This looks good. This is a good chance to work. Now the enemy's got only siege ladders. That helps. They're going to be a little bit slower to come up the ladders, but it's the main gate that the action's going to be at, right? And these guys up here, you see them shooting. They're shooting outside. In fact, they're actually getting shot. I have not experienced that before. I don't have like 20 siege defenses in this castle. I have like 5, 3, 4, something like that. You know, I've done a couple custom battles, and we had, I think, one defense in the Aserai campaign. The key though is that arrows do more damage going downhill. I know that's a strange dynamic, but they lose speed going uphill. It's realistic. There's a pretty good physics model to the game, and so when you're shooting downhill, your arrows don't lose a lot of speed. Damn, we didn't kill anybody with that throw. I got to be a little bit more patient because the enemy, here they come. There's a big clump of them coming. That's more like it. Hugh the Hammer fucking racks it up, and our catapult is scorching them too. Nicely done, boys. So your arrows going downhill, your javelins going downhill, everything going downhill is better. And by the way, infantry, people underestimate that effect. Try it yourself. Try a custom battle. Put yourself downhill in a situation, then switch it and put yourself uphill against an equal foe, and I think you'll be surprised. I think it might be a 20% difference between being uphill and downhill. Of course, it depends on the slope and how you use the troops. But when you charge downhill, they move faster, and the game determines your attack damage by your speed, right? So if you're moving fast, you're going to do more damage. And meanwhile, the guys coming up the hill trying to attack you, they're not moving, right? They're moving slower because they're coming uphill. I'm just going to taekwondo my way through all these fucks. Oh, here's a lord. Come get some, bitches. Hey, you want some? Get clubbed. You get fucking smashed in the face. He must have been wounded because 127 took him out. All right, let's pull this square over here and unleash javelin hell for the enemy, right? You see our square here at the gate is weak. That's okay. I just need those guys to hold their little shields up. Anybody who's ever pounded on a militia and have them just hold their shield up, it's annoying as fuck, but they're hard to kill, right? They do a pretty decent job just sitting there holding their little fucking wooden pizza oven, their arts and crafts shield. And meanwhile, you can't get through it, right? You got to kick them or hit it 6 times with a weapon to break it. It's pretty frustrating. So they make a decent little shield in situations like this. And of course, the main reason we're doing this is to utilize all these javelins, all these sea raiders and lake rats and brigands and Beni Zalal warrior. They all have javelins, and so we want these guys just unleashing hell. And it really does sound like a machine gun. All these different javelins hitting the enemy. Just knocking the enemy all over the place. That guy got clubbed to the ground and then bashed again. A mace is so satisfying to wield in Bannerlord. Just knocking bitches all over the place. We got this little barricade here, which is good, right? Because it lets our guys shoot over it, but the enemy can't zerg through there. It's a little funnel. And they're lined up here. They're slightly attracted to our shield wall, which means they're not quite far enough away to avoid aggro, but it's actually good because it's pulling a few troops from the other square, sort of taking some pressure off those guys, and of course allowing the archers to sort of split the gap, right? Split the difference between the two. And what a fucking strong army this is, right? This Aserai force, it's highly mixed. There's all kinds of Imperial forces here, but it is elite. There is tier 5 unit after tier 5 unit. We're finally getting some of the tier 4s. But this was an elite Aserai force, and I'm very glad we're fighting it here instead of the open field. This is the kind of army, if we try to fight this in the open field, we're probably dead. I mean, they're still pouring in tier 5 units. Their armor all gleams, right? That's one of the ways I'm starting to identify troops on the battlefield. I mean, never mind the little glowing orb. You just look where, if something is shiny, it's probably the enemy. Of course, with the exception of our shields, we don't have much armor on. Especially if it's gold and shiny. That would be enemy troops. All right. What do we do here? I got this 3rd division we could pull down. There's not much action up there. I can just tell by there's no javelins flying over the wall. So the enemy seems like they're going to pour through the gate here. We're going to start mixing in a pillar defense here. But I'm also going to replace that infantry square over there. That square I'll push up the stairs so that all the enemy forces attacking them have their backs exposed to all our archers and jav cav. They'll also be higher up, which means more archers will be able to shoot them on that wall. That should be nasty, nasty fire there. And we've got this other division, right? This 2nd division, a lot of those guys expelled all their javelins, and now they become a perfectly useful shield wall here just to sort of plug the gate, you know, while our elite troops last, right? Oh, shit, fucker. You know, I've got my decreased melee taken damage banner. I'm feeling pretty good, right? I've got 330 athleticism, just clubbing fucking enemy lords 3 times in 2 seconds, and down they go, right? Like, I'm feeling great about our situation. I can always change. At some point or other, you're going to start seeing grungy troops come out, replacing our other troops as the militia, as we start getting looters to fill the ranks, and then I'll get more nervous. But right now, what a maelstrom. And this, oh shit, there's militia coming down. They got a traffic jam. There's militia coming down at the same time as I tried to put the archers up there, and they're like crowd surfing down the fucking steps. Yeah, see, here we got militia pouring into that 1st division. That means they've suffered enough losses where we're starting to get to the bottom of the barrel troops. In fact, a whole bunch of militia archers just went to the 2nd division. Let's make the switch now. Pull the 2nd out. Let's get this 3rd division moved in there. Most of them are out of javelins. You can just see. I like that you can actually see if they're out of javelins. I know you got the little white bar underneath the troop number, right? That's how you can tell if your units have ammo. But I actually prefer this. I like actually looking at it when you bring up the unit locator. It shows that little white bar. To me, that's a lot more reliable. All right. And keep that 5th division there. We've got a nice funnel right between these 2 squares, and the death spam looks lovely. Looks brilliant, as you English fellows would say. There's loads of death. There's no controversy here at all. I always get a kick out of the subtle differences. Oh shit, getting fucking stuck in here. The subtle differences between the languages. Aluminium, I think, that's actually how they say it. And I think I remember reading the history on that when aluminum was discovered. That's the Americanized version of how to say for this soft pliable metal. When aluminum was first discovered, I think it came from America back to to Europe. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And what I remember reading is that there was a spelling error when it went across the ocean. So it's not aluminium because there's an accent, like an English accent at play here. I see a motherfucker behind me. It's because it was simply spelled differently. Like it was probably sent, I don't know, like I think it was mid to late 1800s maybe, or early 1900s, and they fucking spelled it differently. So all of a sudden, would you please get me some aluminium foil? Right, brilliant, thank you, loads. There's all these different words that the English and the American culture have this amalgamation. Of course, I'm aware there's plenty of English second language people that watch the channel, right? Tactics, military tactics is a universal language, and that is because almost all of us are survivors of kingdoms that became countries with great tactics, right? Whether you're a fan of Otto von Bismarck or any of a number of 100 leaders, their tactics, the strongest humans left on Earth. That's what we have today, right? The most violent. That's why we're all warmongering, because, of course, all the pacifist tribes and kingdoms all got killed. Only the warriors are left, right? It's Darwinism for people, for countries. All right, these guys are in beautiful position, just spraying the enemy here. We've got an auxiliary division we can shove just like this. This is a perfect example. So when they pour through like that and you got a breach, shove a square there and basically stop the breach instantly. The archers are shooting over it still, and I just want to kind of tuck it in here, right? I don't want them to attack. Unfortunately, it's making them attack. And that is a motley looking division there, right? There's a ton of looters and fucking whatnot in there, and they're going to pay the price for that if this enemy keeps vacuuming towards them, right? You got palace guards clubbing militia over the head is not going to go well. I mean, they're fighting it out, but I see guys in there swinging their little sickle at these Aserai forces. That's going to have reliably bad results. So trying to alleviate some pressure here. I still have a lot of health. I have navigated through this siege pretty well. And there we go. Just like that, we were able to put more troops to the other side. And our bandits and brigands, look at all these throwing their little turds. It's the fucking looter brigade, dude. What is this? This is the 1st division, and it's like all looters. Look at them zerging up the stairs there. Take it easy, boys. Get over here and throw your turds. Look at, they are throwing their turds. That's beautiful. Now they're being shot, too. Stand right there. Throw some turds in there. It's beautiful. I just want to watch for a few minutes. The enemy's bringing in sword sisters and shit, and looters are pounding them over the head with sickles and fucking kitchen knives. They're not doing half bad. Of course, they have archer support as well, but I'm compelled to help these little guys. They don't they have no armor, no shield, and they're up here swinging with the big boys, right? I love it. Oh, the enemy's running. Charge. Get in there, looters. Let's charge the 1st, 3rd, and 2nd. That way, make sure that... Well, this is what I mean. Make sure they flee. You motherfuckers. They're not leaving. I thought that clearly looked like they were routing. I think some of their troops routed, but not all. So let's try... You know what? Let's try to do here. Oh, shit. Getting out of here. Some looter just came up and said, I'll tear your limbs. He's like 4 foot tall with the fucking bowl haircut and a bad mustache. I'll tear your limbs. He's like that Rick Roll guy, right? Who's got all of a sudden the incredibly deep voice on like 110 foot or 110 pound little scrawny body. You're no secret to learn. The guy's got the deepest voice you've ever heard. Sounds like fucking Darth Vader with singing skills. It's fucking hilarious. Look at these looters in here. Let's wrap them up around the enemy so they just surround the enemy forces. Now I'm close to death, but I can't help it, right? Bring these looters in here. We can fucking totally surround the enemy force here. They're hitting them with their pickaxe and shit. Kill them, looters. It's the looters' revenge, dude. When I was a kid, there was a movie, Revenge of the Nerd. This is a different kind of... Oh, shit. I saw you, bitch. I get some fucking revenge for that shit. Almost shot me to death there. You get a little looter revenge here for all the times that these looters got captured by so-and-so. It is a fucking motley group of homeless guys. Look at... There's an Aserai archer trying to get away. Get him! And there's looters fucking going after him. Run them down, boys. This is fucking absolutely beautiful. Cast their fucking broken body off the ladder. There's looters over here swinging their little hammers and shit. Pure ecstasy. And look at this fucking raggedy group here. I mean, the smell alone would repel a lot of armies. It is just... And of course, this comes from the random body mod. Every single unit on the battlefield is unique. Isn't that amazing? Everybody's got a different beard, a little bit different clothing. Sometimes they'll have like... a big head of hair. Other guys have a terrible mullet or those dreads and shit. It looks fucking fantastic. It makes these guys look like little individual, worn out homeless guys in our army, swinging their little tiny pathetic sword and kitchen knives. It's awesome. I mean, look at this guy. He looks like a famous actor or something with his big mutton chops. Fucking amazing. Wow, these boys here are smiling because we continue to have success, right? Gigantically strong Aserai force, right? On your bike. Get the fuck out of here. Just crushed. I mean, that force up there at that other castle is going to be... I just looked down. This episode is overly long. That's going to be another day, friends. We are going to eventually have to deal with that force of heavy cavalry, this Northern Empire force. But not right now, right? We're going to pick up a few prisoners here, or as usual, virtually no prisoners here. A couple of militia, and be on our way here. Fortunately, some more looter prisoners, right? And our looter band continues, right? Admittedly, we've got 78 forest bandits. I can already see a handful of comments. It's like, you got forest bandits. They're dominant, right? But we also got, as you could see in that battle, we got looters up there swinging their machete and their little fucking pickaxe. It is fucking fantastic. And this is for entertainment, right? If you're not entertained, I don't know what I can do for you. Maybe we can get Russell Crowe to yell it a few times in your ear. But we're going to wrap this episode up, right? We've got a little bit of wrap-up here to do, but I think I will do that afterwards. You guys don't need to see me chase down a couple of random Aserai armies. We will wrap this episode up with the normal stuff here, right? And that's next, right? Uqba Castle is next. So, of course, if you want to see more from this campaign, more from the channel, you fellas, you want to subscribe, you want to hit that notify button, please hit the like button, leave any comments you like. And with all that said, friends, I truly appreciate you guys. I know I just kind of rattle it off sometimes, but I do truly appreciate you guys. And I will see you next time.